it's almost like you playing employee whack-a-mole. About the time you get this one, taken care of, the other one pops up, and we project on to our employees, they're just like us. Typically, the disengagement in a credit union is higher than the national average. You always have to coach your team with this mindset. My team is more important than any individual. Coaching is not what I do to you, it's what I do for you.
You're listening to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, a podcast that delivers value and offers up insight that'll help your credit union grow. ServiceStar has been consulting with credit unions for over 20 years, growing them in the areas of cultural development, leadership development, and management training. To learn more about what ServiceStar can do for you or your credit union, check them out at servicestarconsulting.com.
Welcome to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast. I'm Scott Anderley. Guys, today we got a treat for you. ServiceStar Consulting, we've got free webinars that we do throughout the year that really set the tone for leadership and building a culture the credit union way. And we had one that was really, really impactful that a lot of people had good things to say about that we wanted to share with y'all. All right. It's called Getting Off the Coaching Roller Coaster. A ServiceStar founder and executive consultant, Mike Neill, comes on. Many of us love thrilling rides at amusement parks, but we wait in long lines for heart-pounding few moments. But if that kept going over and over and over again, we'd probably get sick of this and say, get me off this roller coaster. In this webinar that you're about to listen to, Mike talks about getting off the coaching roller coaster, how to make lasting positive changes in employee performance. So stick around, listen. You're going to understand what really causes inconsistent performance. Hint, it might not just be the employee. It might be a coaching issue. The next thing, you're going to be able to spot and identify the habits that keep people on the roller coaster. Hint, it might not just be an employee issue. It might be a coaching issue. See a theme? 3, learn the simple shift that creates consistent performance. What Mike will be doing is he'll be guiding you towards what is the agenda for coaching. What are you focusing on? What are key indicators you're looking for in an employee's behavior towards the performance? So guys, buckle up, gear up. This is going to be some really, really impactful stuff.
We'll go ahead and we'll get ourselves started so we can end on time, get this roller coaster going. But for those that maybe aren't familiar with ServiceStar, much rather a ServiceStar event, I want to take a minute just to talk a little bit about ServiceStar myself. So Mike, if you could, ServiceStar, right? We've been around for over 25 years. And truly, if you want to look at the impact that we've had with credit unions, with the credit unions that we work with, some credit unions, they have 3 employees and some have over 2,500. But at the end of the day, we focus really on culture. And if you focus on engagement and employees and getting them engaged, it really comes full circle. So at ServiceStar, we've worked with credit unions in every state, in fact, multiple countries. But we know that if you invest in culture, it's going to ultimately lead to your employees that not only feel value, but they also feel engaged and they want to be at work. Of course, members then, of course, will know what you have and do business with you, which is going to allow you to grow. So at really the end of the day, as we get ready to kick into our roller coaster conversation, we have a little bit of housekeeping, but if you have any technical questions, Dylan's going to be around. He'll be in the chat. We've got Chris monitoring the ones and twos with regards to questions. So throughout this, we'll have a question period at the end. If you want to answer some questions, feel free. Send them through and we'll get them taken care of at the end. But outside of that, I'm going to, as Mike would say, the Tower of Power, the man of the hour, Mr. Mike Neill. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thanks, Taylor. Well, good afternoon, everybody who's East and Central and Mountain, and good morning still to those of you on the Pacific Coast. I'm Mike Neill. I'm the senior consultant and with ServiceStar, and I've been working with ServiceStar for almost 28 years now. So I've been around quite a long time. Had a career as an executive in the credit union industry prior to that. In 1998, joined in with ServiceStar, and here we are today. And I love sharing this information we're going to be sharing with you today. So I want to give you some context for why the things I'm saying are true. In other words, I'm going to say some things that you might find, a little bit curious, or it doesn't line with something you've been taught somewhere else, or maybe even what you're comfortable with. we're a multiple time researcher with the Feline Research Institute. Service Star Consulting is, and so the things I'm sharing with you today, we've validated through our research with Feline in a study called Attributes and Skills Common Among High Performing Credit Union Managers. And so there are things that seem counterintuitive sometimes, because what happens is those that are really effective sometimes do things that are outside of what seems to be common sense to a lot of people. So I'm not going to try to be necessarily controversial, and I don't think I really will be. But the point is, everything we're going to share with you today, we validate through research, is a differentiator between those who are highly successful as managers in credit unions and those who are less successful. So I want to get you queued up. I want you to begin asking questions now. And I want you to do that via the chat. So we're going to take about 15 minutes at the end here. So about 45 minutes after the hour. And I'm going to do a question answer. So you may have a particular employee situation you want to pose a question about. Your questions may come up as we go along. And so please don't hold your questions to the end. Producer Chris is going to be there getting those questions curated for you, and he'll queue those up, and we'll not have any dead time. We'll roll right into the Q&A. So the title of the topic was hopefully appealing to you and caused a few questions. How to get off the performance roller coaster. So what is the performance roller coaster? Well, this is the term I came up with several years ago to describe the following. And if some of you can relate to this scenario I'm about to paint, would you just please chat in the word yes as I begin to describe it? So I'd like to see who's with me. And so, Chris, you can kind of let me know a little bit into it, whether we have a lot of yeses or not. All right, you're a manager and you've got an employee who, let's just say low-hanging fruit here, doesn't come into work on time. And so you do the typical thing, right? And you go, hey, I want to talk with you about your attendance. What's going on? Oh, yeah, traffic's gotten crazy. Well, okay, but you need to be here on time. Yeah, have you ever tried to listen to yourself as you say these things like, I just broke news? And so then the person says, yeah, I know, I'll just have to get up earlier. Okay, well, I just don't want you see you in a position where, you get in significant trouble, have to get an oral warning. I appreciate it. All right, you need to pay attention to that. Okay, good. And then up we go. We go up the ramp on the roller coaster, right? And things are fine. And you're saying to yourself, I don't need that Mike Neill junk, that whole effective confrontation thing and willing and able. He talks too much anyway. And so you just sit down and you just tell people, well, this is what needs to happen. And they'll go, I know. And it all works out. Except after a few weeks, maybe months, probably weeks, it kind of goes back down. And you go like, he's doing it again. Hey, Rick, what's going on with your attendance? Oh, yeah. It's just been crazy. We just had the one car and then we had to, right? All right, well, good. All right, and then here it goes again. Hey, Rick, how many times am I going to have to talk to you? Because now you're starting to get irritated, right? Because it's, this is the third time. How many times have I talked to you? Yeah, I know. Look, I really appreciate you being patient with me. You're a really cool boss. You're so much better than Mike Neill was. Yeah, because I couldn't stand him, but you're cool. You get it. Well, I can only get it so much. I'm just trying to keep you out of trouble. And here we go. That's the employee roller coaster. And you never resolve the performance issue. You just keep pushing it forward. And that works. If you have one employee that only does one thing incorrectly, then you might survive that. But what I've got is I've got Rick not coming into work on time. And then I get him right. And then I got Dylan over there who is gossiping about his coworkers. And then I have to get Dylan going. And now I'm on two different roller coasters at the same time, but we're at different places. it's almost like playing employee whack-a-mole. About the time you get this one, taken care of, the other one pops up, and and you just, that's why nobody wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese as an adult, because it's frustrating. Chris, has anybody been able to relate to that?
Absolutely. Well more than a handful, Mike. Ashley says whack-a-mole is perfect.
Yeah, whack-a-mole. And again, think about it. When you go to Chuck E. Cheese, this is what happens. You'll do anything to get away from that table with the kids, or maybe it's just me. You'll do anything to get away from that table with the kids. So they give you the ticket. So you got to do something. So you just like separate, and then you're going to go play whack-a-mole. And you already got a lot of built up aggression because you're just praying to God to kill you, to end your time there at Chuck E. Cheese. And so you just start whacking, but you realize after a while they start popping up faster. And then you realize after you play it one time, the last one pops up and goes, laughs in your face, and you're like, after about 2 tickets, you just hand them to the kid next to you, like, here, you want to play this out? I'm done. And if you're like me, you go sit in the car and tell people your stomach aches, and just come to the car when you're ready to leave. Or maybe I don't, but maybe I do. But it's this idea that if you're on the roller coaster, I loved roller coasters when I was a kid. I loved them. I loved them all the way through college. I don't know how many roller coaster fans there are. Roller coasters used to be a lot easier to go on. Like, I grew up in Atlanta, and we had Six Flags Over Georgia, and we had the Scream Machine, right? And the Dahlonega Mine Train. Very simple. Now, I mean, you go to, Universal, it's like, the Double Dare Death Loop, and, the Coaster of Misery. They just keep ramping up the names, and they just start going even more and more crazy. And so I rode on one at Universal, and I was like, oh, I think I'm going to be sick. And it spun me around so much, it's like messed up my inner ear. And my son Jake was like, are you okay? It's like, I don't think so. Last roller coaster I was ever on, because like, hey, it's not simple roller coaster anymore. But no matter which roller coaster you're on, think about it. You'll wait 60 minutes to get on that ride, right? Crazy. Only North America will wait 60 minutes to get on a 90-second ride and go, let's do it again. But what happened if it just didn't stop, right? What if it just kept going and going and going? I bet after a while you go, this is no fun anymore. There's no fun anymore. Well, from a performance standpoint, why do we stay on that roller coaster? Well, there's a few reasons. One is projection. We project on to our employees. They're just like us. They want to do a great job. They are fully engaged. But the only difference between them being engaged and what I actually see them doing is I just haven't figured out what fixes them. And I just got to, keep working to try to figure out how I need to say it, and when I need to say it, and when I need to push back. But everybody's just like me. Spoiler alert, almost nobody's like you. You guys are a weird anomaly called a highly engaged employee. By the way, in the United States as a whole, there's only 33% of them, of the entire workforce is engaged. I'll let you do the math now. What percent is disengaged? But you, the people, let me just ask you a question. How many of you think about work on the weekend from time to time? Like, hey, did I send that email? Did I remember to put that on Taylor's desk? Oh, did I send everybody the notification that the meeting's been moved from Monday to Tuesday? How many of you think about work on the weekends from time to time?
There's a lot of heads nodding, Mike, and a lot of yeses in the chat.
And so let me ask you the follow-up question. How many of you think you might have an employee who's back at work right now, but not even thinking about it? Right. You're spending an hour away from your work to be able to learn how to do your work better, while they're going, how long is that webinar? How long do you think Stacy's going to be gone? Right? How many of you come into work sick before? Right? I know some of you. I know you come into work so sick, you probably needed a hazmat suit on, right? Just to protect the rest of us because you had a lending meeting you had to go to. How many of you had an employee who called in sick that wasn't really sick? See, you are the people who overcare. You're highly responsible. But you've got to understand that statistics show that the employee you're speaking to is much more likely to be a disengaged employee who is very dissimilar to your approach to work. Your approach to work is, I'm going to do it because it's my responsibility. And most employees' thoughts are, how many of these do I have to do? Now, I'm not saying that's everybody, and I'm not trying to depress you, but if I don't share with you the actual statistical reality, you're going to live in a delusion of projection. It's just up to me to find the right thing to just get them going. They're a caterpillar. How to make them a butterfly. And we get worn out, burnt out, frustrated, trying to make ourselves better to make them better. Next is codependent. Next is being codependent. That's when we keep bailing the employee out. Like, it's time to write them up, but I just don't want to go there. You know, I'll just keep meeting with them and meeting with them and meeting with them and meeting with them. And if I see the slightest, tremor in an almost dead body, I'm like, he's alive. No, right? It's a death tremor. Right? So not to be too macabre, but it's true. Just because something's moving doesn't mean it's alive. And so we just won't hold people accountable. Now, some of you had a career in the bank before you had a career in the credit union. Well, let me ask you this question. I'd like for you to chat in the word yes if you agree with this. I worked at a bank, and I would say the accountability was so much more significant at the bank than it is the credit union. It's noticeable. Accountability much higher in a bank than credit union. If you have bank experience and that applies, you just chat in the word yes. And then, Chris, I'd like to get your responses, see the kind of responses you're getting back.
They're
The word
rolling
yes
in.
is all.
We got a lot of people that came from banks because
Yeah.
I can't even
Yeah.
keep up with them coming in, Mike. Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is this. Typically, the disengagement in a credit union is higher than the national average for one reason. What you're willing to accept becomes your reality. Without accountability, what then happens? Well, the floor is what you'll actually allow rather than what you'll say you won't allow. And so there's this idea of being codependent. If you're not willing to say, I'm going to hold you accountable now, then you give them the false illusion that these meetings are just going to continue to happen and happen and happen and happen and happen. And that's what codependent is. You just keep bailing me out. This is the last time, I swear. I won't ever drink again. But if you could just give me $10, I just need taxi ride. It's like, well, you know what they're going to do. It's like, okay, I mean it. This is the last $10. I know, I swear. And then when they do it again, it's like, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. But you just can't get yourself out of that cycle of being codependent. The next is fixer syndrome. I'm going to never quit fixing him or her. I'll hear managers say, I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I'm going to keep working till throw him under the bus. Are you kidding me? He is, as I told one manager, you're not throwing him under the bus. He's crawled up under the rear wheel of the bus, begging you to hit the gas and end it, but you just won't do it. Right? He's like, please make the pain stop. Run over me. Throw him under the bus. But what we do is we keep trying to fix people. Now, listen, I can't even get my grandpup to not jump up on the sofa when I have guests over. How am I going to fix a whole human? By the way, I've had 2 kids. Anybody can relate. I fortunately for them, they're wonderful people, but they wouldn't let me fix them. They had to go, oh, dude, Dad was right. Oh, don't do that. And so you can't fix people. Can people get fixed? They generally fix themselves. Can I be a motivating power for them to realize there's consequences to their actions? Yes. And that's all accountability is. Get rid of the idea that accountability is a performance plan, an oral warning, a written warning. Those are all HR systems. But there's a time when you have to quit coaching and say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to hold you accountable for your performance. And so if you won't do that, you're in that fixer syndrome where you just keep coming up with a new and different way that you could think to fix them. And then the last one is just avoiding confrontation. The last problem is I hate to do this. I'll talk to them about it later. Friday's just too busy. I don't feel like it today. I've got too much going on. They don't look like they're in a good mood. And what we do is we just never get around to it because we find it so uncomfortable. But I also want to be honest. If nobody's ever taught you how to do that well, no wonder you don't want to do it. Would you want to dive into a conversation where you know that you don't know how to do it effectively because no one's taught you how to do it, and the other person is going to be defensive and emotive? No thanks. I'm voting no on that. Well, we're going to begin to help you resolve that today. In fact, we're going to begin to help you resolve all of these. Now, okay, there's only so much I can do in 45 minutes, right? And a free 45 minutes of that. So we've got some solutions for you, but I think we're going to get you a good piece down the road and give you a good investment return for your time. So, all right. I think I'm about to get sick. Right? You're on that ride, you're on that roller coaster, it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. So what happens when you get stuck on that roller coaster of these dysfunctions that I mentioned on the previous slide? Well, the first thing that happens is you get team disengagement. Because what you're willing to accept, as I said, becomes your standard. What you will allow becomes your reality. So the performance of your team starts to get less and less and less in whatever area you're not successfully redirecting. Because there's a concept that I developed when I was writing my book, Coaching for Maximum Performance, called comparative effort equity. Comparative effort equity is I, as an underperforming employee in whatever area that is, let's stay with attendance, I will look at whoever's worse than me, and that makes me feel like I'm okay. So I'll go, I may not be here every day on time, but at least I'm like Chris. He sucks. I may not be the easiest person to get along with, but at least I'm not like Taylor. He's a butthead. And so what happens is that employees look at other employees and they'll go, okay, they're still here. They're still alive and kicking. And so I will make myself feel better about my performance by looking at any other performance that is lesser than mine and go, I can't even believe that ever talked to me about that. Have you ever had this happen? You sat down and you sat with an employee and you said, hey, when I talk to you about this, and they look at you like you're out of your mind. Me? I hope you're talking to everybody about this. You know I'm not the only one. Well, I hope you better be talking today because he's way worse than me. Have you ever dealt with that? That validates my theory of comparative effort equity. That's how it operates. So what you're willing to accept becomes the reality that you're going to deal with. Now, what also happens, and this one's, I just can't make this one even almost humorous. I wish I could. The team begins not to trust you. Because as a leader, you're going to set expectations and communicate them. And then when they realize what you say is different than what you'll confront, or what you say is an expectation is different than what you'll validate as an expectation, they no longer trust you. And when you lose your team's trust, well, it takes a long time to develop trust, about that long to break it, and you can almost never fully repair it. And even if you do repair it to an effective degree, it just takes a long time. You always have to coach your team with this mindset. My team is more important than any individual. It doesn't matter whether Steve's angry with me or not. I've got to do this because Steve's behavior is negatively impacting the team. If he's coming into work late, other people are doing the work that he could be doing while he's, in line getting his, double latte, choco, mocha, whatever at Starbucks. And so if he's not meeting his sales goals, or if he's making errors, it's causing a problem either to the member or to a team member. And your members begin to go, Mike cares more about Dylan than he does us. Because he won't do anything about this, and we're the ones having to suffer with it. Hey, we suffer with it more than Mike does, because Mike's in a webinar for an hour. Right. Probably taking a nap. But we have to sit here and listen to his mouth. So this is really, really important. If you don't get people off that roller coaster, your team will begin to lose belief in you. And then the best and brightest leave. We're coming up with another little invented, made up poll, Chris, so get ready. How many of you have left a job, a manager, or a company because you said, my standards are higher than this? I don't work like that. I don't operate this way. How many of you have left a job, a manager, or a company because you said, I give more than they appreciate, or what they say is important is not really what they're important? Do you have many of those coming in, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Heads are nodding on camera. A bunch of yeses coming in for that one too.
And the reason is engaged employees cannot stand to work at a place where disengaged employees are allowed to continue. Because people like me, people like you, what we do is we have this moral connection to work. Like, the way you view me as a father is a reflection of me as a person. And the way you view me as a teammate, as a contributor, is part of the way you view me as a person. I don't go, well, it's just a job. It's just work. It's not like it's not that no, we don't have that separation. That's why when I developed the course, we were developing a course on work-life balance. I said, no, we're not going to call it that. We call it work-life integration, because people like you and I, we don't have work-life balance. We don't need it. Now, that doesn't mean, I work 23 hours a day and sleep 30 and see my child for 30 minutes. No, what that means is sometimes my life spills over into my work and my work spills over in my life. I don't think about if somebody calls me at 5:30, I'll answer the phone because I know it must be like I'm off the clock. And so people like us that have this high moral connection with work, we can't work at places like that. So when you leave, when all of us leave, who does that leave the company with? Good luck with that. Your best and brightest will leave, so that who remains is the dumbest and, okay, that's probably rude. But I mean, you see what I'm saying? Whatever's the best and brightest, the worst and dumbest, I don't know. But it ain't good for a company. It ain't good for a company. So what happens is you will lose the people that you want to keep, and you'll keep the people that you'd love to lose. Do that math for me. All right. So how do we get off this roller coaster? How do we get off the roller coaster? Well, let me give you a few ideas here. One, we want to identify the cause of the performance problem. And what we want to do is we want to do analyzation versus analysis. What does that mean? When I'm talking about analysis, I'm talking about psychological analysis. This is what happens to so many leaders. They get themselves wrapped around the axle going, why would Chris do that? Well, who does that? Who acts like that? I mean, seriously. I mean, I can't believe I'm going to even have to bring this up. I mean, who dresses like that? Who didn't know that was inappropriate? Where's this coming from? And we try to psychoanalyze the employee. So then we feel like we can now make a breakthrough. Y'all, I don't even know why I do half the stuff I do. I literally do stuff. I'm like, what are you thinking? I mean, I don't know how many of you have like a PhD in counseling or whatever thing you've got to get a PhD in to be able to do that stuff. I don't. I mean, I barely got out of school. Like they were so happy when I left. Just kept dragging down the overall GPA of everywhere I ever went. But what I'm telling you is that when you spend your time trying to figure out why people do things, or maybe it's just part of their personality. Myers-Briggs type indicator is about the easiest personality assessment you can legitimately take, and it's got 32 different personality types. Are you going to have to come up with 32 different ways to say things? God help you. I mean, and plus I got to give you a Myers-Briggs type indicator for I know what to say. It comes down to analyze. Is it because they're unwilling to do it or they're unable to do it? Is it because they're unwilling to do it or unable to do it? That's it. That's it. And there's 5 basic questions you can ask that will give you a really good understanding of whether it's unwilling or unable. Quit trying to psychoanalyze your employees. Where's this coming from? Why is this happening? Why would they do this? Who does that? And then is it willing? If it's unwilling, we need to confront the behavior. If it is unable, we need to train it. Training is easy. If it's unable, train. If it's unwilling, confront. So we've got to identify the cause of the problem. So as I say here, you've got to understand the difference between unwilling and unable. Ability, training, instruction, willingness, employ. And when we say confront it, here's what has to happen. Here's the question we ask to the employee. What are you going to do differently? It's not up to you to make the suggestion. This is fixer syndrome. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Why don't you try the other thing? What's the employee say? Oh, yeah, that's great, boss. No wonder you're the boss. You're a genius. I've never thought about getting up 15 minutes earlier. What a breakthrough. Thank God for you. Come on. And then they won't do it. I mean, they won't do it for long. They will do it immediately because, whatever discipline you bring on somebody immediately, they're like, okay, I'm on the radar. But then guess what happens? They won't do it. Why would they not do it, Mike? Because you didn't fix what was wrong. They're unwilling. You treated them like they were unable by giving them a solution or instruction. Try this, do this, think about that. And so you haven't resolved that they're unwilling. What resolves unwilling is me asking the employee, what are you going to do to make sure you're here to work on time? What are you going to do to ensure that you are not involved or facilitating gossip about another employee on our team? What are you going to do to reduce the amount of errors in your work? When it's unwilling, you've got to confront it. And the response should be, what are you going to do? And they create the solution and they execute on it or they don't. Which leads me to the next one. There comes a time to quit coaching. Coaching is not what I do to you. It's what I do for you. It is a gift. If I care about you as a person, I will tell you the truth in a gracious way and be bold enough to take that action. If I don't care for you, now I know people that I call acquaintances, right? And, I tell them I'm on a diet, and then they go, oh, we're going to wherever they, oh, and I eat like, 8 pieces of pizza. And nobody goes, I thought you were on a diet. They'll just go, oh, this pizza's good. You want dessert too? I'm like, yeah, bring it. That's not helping me. My friend, Doug, right? My friend Doug would say, hey, you starting your diet tomorrow? He would tell me the truth in a gracious way and be bold enough to take that action. Coaching is a gift that you give people, which allows them to redirect an ineffective behavior. But what happens is when I won't quit coaching and move to accountability, that's when I become codependent. That's when I become codependent. So the general rule is this: you should only redirect that behavior twice. Here's the scenario. Steve, what are you going to do to make sure you're here to work on time? I'm going to do X. He begins to do it. And then let's say after a while, starts going back to where it came from. Sounds like we're on the employee roller coaster, Mike Neill. Not yet. It's only one hump. Hang with me. We're only on one hump. You just went over a hill. It's not the roller coaster. And then you meet with him again. Hey, Steve, you said you were going to do X. You didn't follow through on that. What are you going to do differently? Well, I'm going to do Y. And it gets better. And then all of a sudden, oh, we're definitely on the employee roller coaster now. No, you just made a letter M. That's all you did. Relax. Now the conversation is going to be different. Steve, here's what's obvious to me. I care more about your attendance and your engagement as a team member than you do. That's the truth. And I'm saying it without anger. Why should I be angry? I can't fix Steve. I'm not controlling Steve. But I can coach him and I can create accountability. But I'm not mad at him. He doesn't frustrate me. I don't have to be frustrated. Because once I realize I can't fix people or control people's actions, they'll choose the direction they want to go, but there's just got to be consequences for that direction. I'm so relieved now, right? I mean, that's what makes you crazy with kids. It's just, you feel like you can make them do stuff. And so you say, I'm not going to coach you on this anymore. I'm simply going to hold you accountable. And when you do that, they're going to look at you like you have 3 heads. What do you mean? What I mean is, this is yours to fix. I've done everything I can do. And they'll look at you now like you got 4 heads. They go, are you firing me? No. Here's the language. But it's going to be difficult for you to be successful here if this continues. Isn't it the truth? It's going to be difficult for you to be successful here. You didn't say it's going to be difficult for you to continue to hold a job here. It'd be difficult for you to be successful here. And you quit coaching them on that. Well, what if he keeps coming into work late? You're marking it down and you're marking it down. And then it's time for the oral warning. And then they go into a performance plan. Coaching has nothing to do with the disciplinary process. Coaching is what you do to keep from getting to the disciplinary process. The disciplinary process begins when coaching ends. The challenge is, one part, we think that the disciplinary process and coaching are the same thing. And the other one is we never get to the disciplinary process because we're codependent and we just keep doing the same thing over and over again. What are you going to do different? I'm going to try the 13th thing. Give it a whirl. It's not going to work. So, gang, I've stated what the situation is, what the problem is. I think some of you can relate to it. I think a lot of you can relate to it. Big takeaways here before I share with you the opportunity you've got in front of you and do some Q&A is this. It's so important to understand that you have a job to do and your job is not all encompassing. You have limited ability to impact people. You can only motivate those who will allow you to motivate them. And the way we motivate them when they are underperforming is to determine, first thing we do, is it unable? Let's give them training and instruction. If it's unwilling, I've got to confront it. When I confront it, the question is, because it's unwilling, what are you going to do differently? And they come up with a solution. Next, if after 2 rounds of that, they go back down the rabbit hole again, you don't do a third effective confrontation. In that third meeting, you say, here's what's obvious to me. I care more about X than you do, and that doesn't make sense. I'm not going to coach you on this anymore. I'm simply going to hold you accountable for whether you do it or not. And now you begin the accountability piece, the disciplinary process. So if you take all that and unpack it, it's a pretty linear view. Now, Mike, it sounds like there's probably a lot more to coaching. Well, there is. I mean, come on. Yeah, of course there is. And that's why we've got a course that covers 9 hours called Coaching for Performance. And the basis of this workshop is the book that I wrote, Coaching for Maximum Performance, which works off of that research that I did with the Feline Research Institute. So we have 3 sessions. They're all virtual sessions. We have a completely packed cohort that I just started yesterday. We had a blast together. And then we have had such a great response to this, then we've added another cohort, which is coming up very soon. Chris, do we already have that one up on the website?
We do, Mike, and you can visit the link in the chat and you'll be able to see what those dates are. The spring cohort kicks off April 9th, and then we have one in the summer and one in the fall on the schedule right now too.
Yeah, and look forward to having a lot of you with us, because you see the things we're going to go into, so much more understanding, and we're going to work together and we're going to practice these things. It's a workshop. It's not me lecturing like it is right now. Well, it is a little bit because, I like to do that. But a lot of it's going to be, let's get together and work through this and practice it in some breakout groups and see what we came up with and what questions you have. But you're going to learn how to set behavioral expectations, the best ways to motivate employees so that you have less of this effective confrontation that you have to do. So please join us. And it's such a bargain. It's $7.49 regularly. It's $5.99. So we've cut the price to say thank you for spending an hour of your time here with us today. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a seat, and I'm going to quit sharing my screen, and I'm going to allow you guys to ask some questions. So Chris, have we had any questions that have come up along the way?
How do you redirect a conversation when an employee is making excuses or talking about others instead of looking at themselves?
Yeah, this is a wonderful question. And so please, any other questions you want to queue up, please. So this is a great question, a great leadoff question. So I call it redirection. And how many of you remember a Karate Kid? Maybe 5 of you. You have to be like really old to remember Karate Kid. I'm not talking about the TV show. That kid's already grown up now. So Mr. Miyagi, right? And so Daniel-san, wax, he was always wanting to punch, wax on, wax off. What was he teaching him to do? Deflect the blows coming at you rather than absorb them. And so it is deflection. And so what happens when an employee says, well, I'm not the only one? You don't go, I'm not talking about others. I'm talking about you. That's a punch. What you also do is absorb the blow. Well, I know I need to get around to talking to everybody, and it's just your turn. And, it's just something I'm having to do. So while I'm starting with you, that's going to be 15 minutes of your life you're never going to get back, and it won't solve anything. So it's deflection. So what it would sound like is, well, of course not. But let's talk about your situation. What did that take me? 5 seconds. Employee says, what do you think I should do? Mike, you're so smart. it's important for you to come up with a solution. This is your performance challenge and you need to resolve it. So what are you going to do? What you're going to notice is I'm always coming back to that question. What are you going to do? Deflect. What are you going to do? Deflect. What are you going to do? So don't absorb it. Don't fight it, because they're doing something very natural. They feel attacked. Now, are they being attacked? No, but they feel attacked. And so what they do is they're using their passive aggressive, I'm going to fight you back. I mean, if you have an employee go, oh, yeah, well, listen, I'll key your car if you don't leave me alone. Okay, that's aggressive. But most employees are going to use the passive aggressive. I'm going to change the subject. By the way, how do you know somebody's a really great politician? By the way, that's never a compliment. They never answer the question. What are you going to do about the budget, sir? That's a great question. And I'm as concerned about the budget as you are. You know, for years, we have overspent and overspent and overspent, leaving this condition. And it puts people in this situation where they have to ask these types of questions. And it's a shame that they don't talk for 15 minutes and then go, next question. Like, what just happened? How do I know I'm over the target? When they try to change the subject. I'm asking a very clear question. What are you going to do differently? Well, you know, it's not my fault. What are you going to do differently? Well, I'm not the only one. What are you going to do differently? I didn't even know I was supposed to do it. See, it's like you saying, hey, Mike, Neill, what's your favorite color? Number 3. What? Now, what's your favorite color? Kung Pao chicken? Did you have a stroke? I mean, that's a legitimate question at my age, right? But no, I didn't have a stroke. I don't want to answer your question. But it would be weird. But when you keep asking the question, what are you going to do differently, which is that second part of that deflection, after about 3 of those, here's what I would say. Here's what's obvious to me. I keep asking what you're going to do differently, and you keep not answering that question. Now, what are you going to do differently? See, because I care so much about that employee that I'm willing to tell them the truth. You're not answering the question, but in a gracious way. Answer my questions.
We do have, oh, sorry. I was going to say, we do have another question.
Yeah, I know. Chris is like, all right,
yeah.
Mike.
Well, I thought that was the cue for other questions. So Debbie,
all you gotta do is crank me up. That's all you gotta do is crank me up.
Debbie asks, how do you help another leader recognize they may be in a codependent situation?
If you care about somebody, you'll tell them the truth in a gracious way and be bold enough to take that action. So I would say, hey, what's going on with Tim? Okay, so it's still happening, huh? Well, what have you done thus far? Well, you'd think if it was going to get fixed, that would fix it, right? So when do you think it's time to put this back on him and hold him accountable? Well, what do you think is going to happen if you just keep doing the same thing over again? How do you think your team's feeling about this? So I'm going to be bold enough to take the action, but I'm going to tell you the truth in a gracious way. When I care about people, that's what I do. When I'm an acquaintance of somebody, I'm like, stay in my lane. I'm going to stay in my lane. And if I'm not very caring of you, I will say the truth in a non-gracious way. Are you ever going to get rid of Steve? Like, it's kind of embarrassing at this point. So the truth without graciousness is hurtful. Grace without truth is not helpful. It's just commiserating. But that's where the boldness comes in, to be willing to do that. That's a very great question. So it just comes down to how much you actually care about that person, or whether you're just interested in that person. And again, I totally get it. I totally get it. I've got acquaintances in my life, and I've got friends in my life, and I got my core people, my ride or die people. And, you know, I'm not going to tell the lady at the Circle K when I'm getting my big gulp that she's being rude right now. Like, I'm going to get my drink and go, right? But if I see my friend snapping a server, I'm going to go, now that doesn't look good, right? Because I care that he looks like a, you know what, in front of everybody and demeaning the poor server. So, all right, great question.
Mike,
any
if
other-
we have time for one more, Ashley just dropped one in the chat. How do you build trust back with the high performers when you start to hold others accountable?
Tell them the truth. I messed up. Hey, I messed up. This is where I was coming from. The truth is undefeated. And you know what? You know what is the enemy of trust? Deception, lies, half-truths. By the way, having led in all kinds of situations, all kinds of organizations over the years, people know when I screwed up. I know when I screwed up. Don't expect your employees to take ownership. And I bet that's one of your values at your credit union, ownership. If I won't take ownership for a bad decision I made, don't expect them to suddenly take ownership for their mistakes. Well, that training wasn't any good. Well, I didn't understand it that way then. Or, well, you know, everybody, I'd meet with them individually and say, I want to apologize to you. And that's exactly why I would lead. I want to apologize to you. I made a poor decision. I should have held the standard higher on X sooner than I did. And the reason for it is I wanted to give every opportunity, but I waited too late. And I know it impacted you. I know it impacted the team. I want to apologize to you for that. Ultimately, it was not a good decision on my part. I thought I wanted to tell you that. And just look at it. And you know what they're going to do? Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, yeah, you know, they've all been talking about it for 15 days back in the work area. Is she ever going to do anything? But if you want to build back trust fast, start by being honest and truthful and transparent. Because the enemy of trust is misdeception, is deception, half-truths, outright lies. Yeah. So hopefully that helps. Do we have any others?
Let me check. I think that's it.
Well, you know what? What good timing. I've enjoyed the heck out of working with you guys. Thank you so much. I always feel such obligation and honor when you take an hour out of your day to try to learn how to do what you do better and invest it. And I really hold that as a very important obligation on my part to deliver things for you. So thank you for allowing me to do that for you today. I hope you got some things out of it. Please join us for Coaching for Performance and one of the other cohorts we've got coming up. Love to see you again. If I could do anything for you, please let me know. Chris, I think we've got another slide to, well, or maybe I need to bring that slide up, right? No,
I went ahead and
we'd
brought
love
that
your
up for
feedback.
us, Mike. Yeah. So a couple of
So
slides.
we'd love your feedback. We'd love to hear what you think about this time, what we could do better, also what you like, what you like. And then also, I think, so just scan that QR code. It's a 4-question survey, literally take you 30 seconds. And I will always want to do this well for you. And so give me that opportunity to do that well and know what to keep and maybe what to pitch. And let's see, what's next?
The only other thing, well, I know there's a lot of QR codes and there's a lot of different links that'll go out. We'll make sure to put those into the chat. I think the key ones here are a couple. One, we'd love your feedback, but it also gives you an opportunity if you want someone from ServiceStar to reach out to you. I think over half of you have not been part of one of these workshops, and we not only do these on a regular basis for free, we love to move our movement forward. We love to collaborate, right? That's what we're here for, to try to better ourselves and our membership. But we also want to be able to help you and your credit union. So not only will you be able to give us some feedback on Mike, but also if you're interested in hearing some more, we'll be happy to do that. In fact, next February is the one that Mike referred to around winning strategies. Our good friend Scott Anderley will be on on deck February 25th. And otherwise, here's Mike's contact information.
And those links are in the chat.
Thank you,
So
Chris.
both for next February's free webinar and the link to the feedback. So thank you.
And so I would just say, if you have a question that you wanted to pose that you didn't want to put in the chat, take time to schedule some time with me if you want to have some one-on-one with me, or you can just email me at the email address there and just email your question to me. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll actually send you a video response because, there's kind of nuances to answering some of these questions that you have. So rather just send you an email back, I might record a short video for you and send it to you. But if you've got questions that you just feel like you could ask, maybe you got teammates in the session with you, maybe it just, you feel like maybe that's a silly question to ask, please just ask it and just get in touch with me and let me know how I can help you. I'm always happy to do it. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Wow. Get off the coaching roller coaster. How? Mike's giving you 2 clear things to work on. Analyze the situation. Is it an issue of ability or willingness? If it's ability, train them, instruct them, work with them. But most often the cause is willingness. Most often it needs to be the employee's choice. And this is where coaching comes in, not being codependent. If you enjoyed this, come to our next free webinar. They're called Winning Strategies. Go to our website, servicestarconsulting.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom and look at future events and click on Winning Strategies. We hope to see you there. This is Scott Anderley with the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, where we inspire current and aspiring credit union leaders. Interested in submitting a question to the Credit Union Leadership Podcast, we want to hear from you. Go in our show notes. We have a link over there, and in that link, it's going to take you to 2 options. You can submit a question written out through email, or you can submit an audio recording through SpeakPipe. We make it super easy. Go to the link in the show notes, click audio recording. Once you click audio recording, it's going to take you straight to a website where you just press the record button. You've got 90 seconds to submit a question or submit you catching doing somebody do it right. And then you just type in your name and email address, and that's it. It comes straight to us, and we'll take it from there. So you don't need to download anything. You don't need to get any new software. You just go to this website, press record, and click submit, and we're good to go. So go to the link in the show notes. Click if you want to submit a question written out or through audio, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Hey, we are on YouTube. We've got video podcasts. So click the link in the show notes. Watch our YouTube video. We're working on how to get videos on Spotify and iTunes, Apple Music, things like that. But what we've learned is that people are 80% more likely to remember something if there's a visual associated with it. So watch our video podcast, comment, let us know how we can be better. Let us be part of your journey. Thank you so much.
ServiceStar offers research-based credit union-specific training solutions that have worked for top-performing credit unions for the last 25 years. Using breakout groups, role-playing, and case studies, our Coaching for Performance workshop series quickly transforms managers' skills from managing into skills that help coach and build more dynamic team members and leaders. You see, coaching is all about improving somebody to their highest level of performance, to their highest potential. Coaching is all about growth and development. And each session will provide managers the knowledge and the confidence to know what to do to be effective performance coaches. We look forward to seeing you at ServiceStar Consulting's upcoming Coaching for Performance workshops. You can check those out at servicestarconsulting.com/events.